the IO is going to maybe have a bit of a tougher time getting the relocate ganks working. Like, you're gonna probably struggle a decent amount as far as being able to, like, you know, jump on top of somebody from the other side of the map, because Batrider can just lasso and then TP, and more often than not, you're going to be fine. Or he could help out a teammate just because he's that natural maneuverability hero. So we'll see how it goes.
They have a lot of flexibility of where they can go. Once you see an IO Sven, you know exactly what DTT's plan is, as if you didn't already know from what they did last game. So MVP, feel that DTT may have actually shown their cards a little bit too early to MVP, but I guess if you pick IO, you can't really expect to hold on to a carry pick until later in the phase.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that it's always tricky, like, because I don't think that it was banned out first phase last time, if I'm not mistaken. It may have been, but in any case, it's still a situation now where they do know what they have as well. Kind of curious too if we see another Hanji Slark. I was really impressed with this play. And also the other big thing for me is what's Rain going to be doing this game, because he played Storm Spirit the way that I think he should have that game, which was very aggressive.
Very self-sacrificial. Self-sacrificial.
But I want to see, like, if he takes that to the next degree with another hero too. That maybe he's playing with somebody else. It's not the best way to play it. I don't know.
Team was able to capitalize off of his drawing aggro, if you will. He would go in, make a lot of spells be cast on him, and then leave by dying. But as long as the rest of the team can get kills, then who cares? DP pushing off their 2 picks with Timbersaw and Alchemist. Alchemist was banned the last game, but this game he slipped through the cracks and MVP snatches him up.
Okay. This is the thing that I was kind of curious about, is like last game it was the Storm Spirit where he needed to be playing in that like hyper aggressive role, whereas Alchemist
we had done. Oh, it was Power Gaming versus XY, Max Y. They had picked up the Ursa, and we had seen the Ursa one. You have around core targets as opposed to just the core targets. Like OD is a very popular one, because while OD can get jumped on by Ursa, imprisonment is a great way of just being like, no, not killing this target for right now, go do something else, Ursa. And this game right now, MVP doesn't really have that. They have a Batrider. The turn rate slow is extremely irritating for an Ursa, but Batrider needs to be in the vicinity to be able to pull that off. And Ursa's usually okay with getting lassoed, because it's difficult to kill the Ursa during the lasso, and then once the lasso ends, you'll be able to enrage and start being able to shrug off a lot of the follow-up damage on initiation.
You know, and I'm wondering too, even just in the laning stage, DTT could get aggressive with this mid. Like, if they wanted to run something like IO Ursa mid, and then allow IO to just like spam out heals on Ursa, he could probably dive the tower against Alk, honestly. It might be a little bit crazy, but you start getting a couple of those levels up, you get some Fury swipes there, a lot of movement speed already on the Ursa, but you increase that with Tether and, you know, maybe some boots on each of them, and going to be a tough time going for MVP there.
I do think that DTT should dual mid this. The problem is that So Io Ursa would be better at dealing with the Alchemist because, like we said, Ursa with Fury Swipes is difficult for an Alchemist to deal with. And Ursa has high passive armor, so Acid Spray is not too much of a concern. Io, on the other hand, has no armor whatsoever, so he can't really
10 seconds
follow Ursa into a fight by walking into an Acid Spray. Whereas Sven dual mid with an Io, Sven can level up Warcry and give this Io some armor so that both of them can go in on the Alchemist.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that does end up playing a part. I mean, it could also just come down to an idea of like waiting until Acid Spray wears off and then going. But you would imagine that Alchemist would probably be playing more safe at that time as well.
Right.
So I guess we'll see how they play it. There's potential to outplay for both teams, I guess. Maybe slightly more into the favor of DTT Gaming, depending on which way they want to lane it as well. But the Sand King is also getting taken.
Which is another good situational, like, Sand King is always a go offline pick, but against a Timbersaw specifically, Sand King is wonderful because definitely cuts down on Timber's domination of the lane with just that classic finale rendering reactive armor pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, I think that it's a nice pick. I mean, it's kind of also one of those instances where you do manage to get that Blink Dagger up and online. This is 3 heroes probably that are going to want to go for a Blink at some point by that like 20-22 minute mark in that area. If they all have them up at that point, it's a lot of potential to just the fight's going. And as a last pick, feels somewhat weak to me.
It is a little weak, but I guess that's what they're... It's weak in terms of aggression, but it's strong in terms of defense. And so Dazzle, they do go for a dual mid on DTT, then they want to leave Alchemist to his own devices. You don't want to have to be sucking up levels from Alchemist, but you also want to be able to save Alchemist if things get rough for him. And a Dazzle is a good way to deal with that. P in with Grave, Alchemist can, you know, synergize pretty well with Dazzle into the mid and late game as well with Weave. So I don't mind Dazzle too much. It's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it ends up working. Of course, it's also buoyed up by 3 incredibly strong laning heroes in the Alk, Timber, and Batrider. Alk maybe not incredibly strong laning, but at least
I don't want to lane against him.
giant guy.
I think this is it's the chaos version. Yeah, it's the chaotic version of the TI, one of the paths for TI set.
Okay.
They're moving in this is like, you rarely ever see this route come in from the Radiant team. Place a ward, Dazzle spots it out. It's just a sentry ward.
That will block off the camp, and it looks like they are going to be able to go on to him. Grave not skilled up, and he will go down. So they find the kill, DTT able to get it.
Yeah, this sentry ward is very important because it's going to be an Alchemist mid. Easy for him to just weave back and forth from the lane to this camp and stack it up. And since this camp does spawn mud golems, it's amazing for Alchemist. Each one of those little mud golems killed easily by Acid Spray, and it gives tons of gold from Greeble Screed, so really nice rotation early on by DTT. Getting the first blood is just gravy.
Now they do have another stun that they can throw out. Misses it a little bit, able to take the bounty rune though, sneaking that one away from the Alk. Well played indeed, and now Godot. I'm gonna call him Godot this whole game. I'm sorry if that's actually how you do it, but well, I mean, no offense, but I care more about the player than you. It's just I've read the play and it once or twice, so I'm not gonna be able to break it from my mind. It does look like they're gonna go now onto the Ursa though. Good bit of damage being dealt out, and well, they're deciding to try lane mid.
Yeah, Dazzle took Poison Touch at level 1, not Shadow Wave, so no chance for a real heal bomb, but like I had said earlier, it's an Ursa who has 6 passive armor, or 5 passive armor, and he has a Poor Man's Shield on top of that as well. And it looks like they're going to be dual midding with this Io and Ursa, which, like I said, was one of the possibilities. Hopefully David he knows his limits as an Io. Hopefully David is familiar with this hero, otherwise he might end up dying.
Well, certainly could. See if he's able to stay alive in that against that one. At least for now, keeping Alchemist at level 1 is always pretty good and nice and dandy.
We got land on Grace. He rolled in on Godot, and Light has 3 stacks of sticky napalm, but he's only level 1 right now.
Very little kill potential, at least this early on. But well, it's a scary sight indeed. You know, he happens to get that level 2 up, and then
Earth Shock on mid, another Fury Swipe stack, and they get the kill on Alchemist. This move speed from the IO buffing up versus, I mean, his main issue is always getting kited, but IO's so good at helping Ursa get into the fight quick and easy.
This is sort of what I meant when I was talking about like Dazzle being kind of a weak pick, because he doesn't really provide much in lane. Like, he can't stay mid to help out the Alchemist that much, because you're just going to kind of be either bullied around or soaking away experience. And then you also don't really, like, can maybe jump in and like save somebody with a grave, but Ursa kind of doesn't care. I think he can just keep diving under tower as long as he's soaking the damage and it's not the IO. So I don't know. I'm feeling like this laning setup right now from MVP might get pretty heavily punished.
Even if you do manage to give Alchemist another like support hero to help him out in the lane, you're almost defeating the point of the Alchemist, because he's not, any last hits that he gets is like all that he needs. Wants levels as well. He wants to hit that level 6, because once he hits level 6, it doesn't really matter how many heroes you have mid. Alchemist is nigh impossible to kill. So as long as Rain can survive this early phase, and now top lane though, Bad Rider getting stunned up.
Now taking a good bit of damage. Light trying to make the escape, is going to be able to do it. 14 HP right there, and it looks like Grace might also be in a little bit of trouble. Is going to be able to make the escape. So a lot of early damage being exchanged in this top lane. Looks like they've decided that's more important than continuing to try and shut down the Alch.
And hopefully IO links to this Sven, and then, oh, actually, Magic Bronson on this Oracle does not have Purifying Flames yet, so no heals. Disarm and Fortune's End.
Well, there they go for the moment. Able to...
Oh, and Dazzle finally counter-wards Alchemist's camp, but it's already 4 minutes into the game. The Sentry Ward was basically timing out anyway.
Also now have the Timber Saw down the bottom lane, facing off against Filipino rules. It's been a pretty even exchange between the two of them. Timber Saw coming out a little bit better for it, as again, top lane, they brought a couple of the heroes in. Godot in some trouble, able to get a 2-person stun though. Oh, is going to be disarmed though by the Oracle, who's trying to save him from the flames, and they aren't going to get a kill because of it. You look at how low they are. One swipe there from the Sven might have found the kill. Oh, unfortunate.
It's possible, but either way, I think that was well played by the Oracle, because he ended up using the Fortune's End to purge off 2 stacks of sticky napalm, and so the Sven was able to walk out of the fight. And even then, like, you see how low the Sven is, even though he was magic immune on that Firefly for a little bit. It is a disarm, but he was hoping to give him that magic immunity so that he wouldn't take damage from the Firefly.
No, definitely. I was just wondering if, like, maybe you waited a second longer there, you're able to find the kill, and then you can go back for it, but...
On one target, perhaps, but Sven also doesn't have any points in Great Cleave quite yet, so...
Right. No, definitely. It's a tough lane right now, and see how they try and deal with it. Very defensive heroes, so kind of this awkward situation as we see the mid...
This is risky. He's underneath Acid Spray, but he had Enrage, so he felt pretty confident. Oh, he's still just sitting in this Acid Spray.
Doesn't care. Does have the
top lane again. Well. Another magic immunity onto the IO, but he has 2 stacks of sticky napalm. He's going to go down to another right click, and it's Light and Grace, Bad Rider, Earth Spirit combo are just relentless, going against a highly defensive tri-lane and not caring about any of the potential that they have to save targets.
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of this awkward moment where, like, you have a lot of ability to save, but one of the abilities to save minimizes the damage that can be dealt. Right. Well, Grace is going to get gone upon again, but it's tough to really find a kill here, and in some trouble. It's going to be fine. Still trading right clicks with Light. They have the spirits on the IO, dealing more damage. He needs to walk away from this one.
4 stacks of sticky napalm, though. One more right click. No, one more, and now he's dead. Now Davin needs to be careful.
Oh, they're gonna be able to walk away from that one, but do lose the Sven, and now
3 heroes.
Ursa trying to make the kill happen. Got a little range creep that's going for the chase.
Oh man, he might fog it out.
They got eyes on him. It's going to be light going down. So space created nonetheless, but they do end up losing a couple for the price of 10.
You'd still take that trade though. Killing Sven this early on, because not only are you killing the Sven, but his supports have to keep babysitting the Sven. They're not stacking up any camps for him.
Oh, a nice little kill there, able to find it. Sand King gonna pay for it with his life.
Oh, and the Earth Spirit explodes to Caustic Finale. He was waddling around and just bursts into blood.
Nicely done there. I mean, that's the thing that you want to be able to get, and one of the reasons why Sand King can be strong as a hero, particularly against the Timbersaw, because like if you just epicenter right in the middle of everybody, as Light is dropping in the top lane but not going to be really significantly damaged, you're still in this situation where you can't break the epicenter, so you can just kill all the creeps around you or hit them once, and it's a huge amount of damage being dealt.
Yeah, he recognized that as soon as he did hit the epicenter, he could easily go for a kill on this Timber. And Timbersaw actually only went for 2 points in reactive armor, which makes sense. You're not really tanking that much right click. You'd rather try to kill the Sand King, who is strength hero, with this Whirling Death. Ursa going in on Dazzle, while Sand King dies down top, mid lane. Dazzle's gonna get out.
Yeah. Brave's pretty good when you can't really break the TP, so we'll play it indeed right there. 4 to 6 so far, 7.5 minutes in, and well, it's looking like it's into the favor of DTT a little bit, but swinging back MP's way.
It is a little bit, but again, you always have to consider that there's an Alchemist on the Radiant team, so net worth can be a little bit deceiving because Alchemist basically uses his net worth as experience almost.
Went for a phase boots build. Something that you always see out of an Alchemist. It actually leads me to believe that he might go for a bit more of a battle build. Before we've seen Alchemists like get a really early net worth lead and then build into like a Blink Dagger, Sanjin Yasha, and start moving around the map, getting more points into stun and attacking. But it also might just be in response to the Ursa and how he's been able to kind of run at him in lane with his own phase boots.
Yeah, well, if I know one thing about Rain, I know is that he isn't the type to farm really. He's the type to fight. And I would like to see something like that coming out of him on Alchemist. I would like something like a... Well, he picks up a Windlace, so that doesn't really tell me much right now, but I think something like a Medallion into Solar Crest could go a long way on this Alchemist.
Yeah, absolutely. In the jungle, again, Ursa just running around trying to get up and in people's face. They do realize these stacks are happening as there's the Observer Ward over their side. But kind of tough to actually do anything and make anything of it as Timbersaw again goes down bottom. And that's the problem right here is you've got the Sand King in the area and just stacking up all that caustic. It's a huge amount of damage.
Getting such a godlike start like this is going to cause a ton of issues for MVP. Sand King can ball out of control, and he hasn't gotten any major item yet. He just got the casual Ring of Health to help him out in the lane. But an early Blink Dagger is going to make like all of the Bat Rider, the Earth Spirit, the Dazzle of MVP, they're not going to feel safe going into any fight, and Ursa really wants to contest these stacks that Radiant is going for right now.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that he went back for the Ring of Health just to help him through the laning stage. I'm curious if he does decide to finish that off into the Aether or not, as well, they're sort of setting up over here on Grace. I don't think this is the kill that they wanted, but it's probably one that they'll take. Run in, and well, there's the Burrow Strike, there's the right click, he's gonzo.
Didn't even need to use Epicenter, and they're going to get this tower very easily. Davit is kind of low, and Ursa's going to go get the 10-minute room, but it's already been taken, unfortunately, so instead, he might find...
I wonder what this build is going to be for Alk. Like, traditionally, you would definitely say Radiance is the way to go, but the phase boots are a little wrinkle in it as well. They drop down the acid spray. It's in the middle of everybody. Burrow Strike connects onto Rain. Gonna be a good bit of damage. The Flame Break pushes back a couple, and
there's not enough mana for there.
I think he's still going to go
Burrow
down.
Strike. 10 sticks charges. Oh my gosh, he can channel Epicenter like right now.
I mean, I think that he's
now it's too late. But he could.
It would have been nice. I mean, what? So channeling Epicenter to try and turn onto that?
Well,
Like,
I guess everyone else on Dire had left. I thought Ursa may have still been in vicinity and would have been able to get a follow-up kill, but I guess they just pressed the Sand King, which that was actually like 200 and, I mean, almost 300 gold to the Timber Sub, but also a fair amount of experience going his way as well, because the Sand King was doing work, and I mean, Sand King's level 8, this Timber Saw's level 9 now, so Timber Saw actually ended up out-leveling the Sand King despite dying twice in his lane.
yeah. And I think that that's, again, just sort of by virtue of those